All right. Welcome everyone to the snowy, cold Tuesday, February 18th meeting. So thank you for coming and those that are online as well. Daisy, can you confirm that the Kansas Open Meeting Act required notice has been properly provided?
Yes, I can confirm the packet was posted and the required notice was provided.
Thank you, Daisy. Roll call, please.
I'll go ahead and call roll. Commissioner Sydow.
Here.
Commissioner Van Covern. Commissioner Alt.
I think they're muted.
Commissioner Van Covern's here.
Yeah. Commissioner Alt is here.
Okay. Commissioner Farber.
Here.
Commissioner Rogers.
Here.
Commissioner Paget. Commissioner Mike Sell.
Here.
Chair Waters.
Here.
So with a combination of 5 physically present and 2 via Zoom, we have a quorum to conduct today's meeting.
Okay, thank you, Dean. Are there any edits or corrections to the minutes of the February 4th meeting? If none, I would entertain a motion to approve.
I'd make a motion we approve the minutes from February 4th meeting. Second.
It's been moved and second to approve the minutes of the February 4th meeting. All those in favor say aye.
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 Motion carries. Thank you. All right. We will move into new business administrative items. The first one is application P 25-1/1A filed by Kansas Wesleyan.
Okay, so we'll try to cover this pretty quickly. We have indicated in our report that Kansas Wesleyan University recently acquired ownership of the Church of the Cross property, and that property includes the church building as well as 2 single-family dwellings that are located at the north end of the church campus. And there is an agreement between Kansas Wesleyan and the congregation whereby the church can retain ownership of the 2 parsonage houses if separate lots are created for each home through replatting within 12 months. And so the purpose of this agenda item is the plan is to create 3 separate platted lots, 1 for the church facility and 1 for each of the individual dwellings. One of the things that we're trying to do and work with the church's surveyor on is to make sure that we have all utility lines that are in the rear identified and that we get easements where we have public utilities that are needed and that we identify those lines that are private. And so in preparing for today's meeting, we noticed 2 things. One, which is a fundamental thing that we will work with Caw Valley on, is that they used the wrong or the incorrect final plat for the Johnson Addition as their base document. And so all the easements that are shown on the plat in your that proposed replat in the packet are incorrect as to location and to width, and so we need to resolve that. The second thing we need to do is determine whether the public sewer that serves the middle of that block extends into the rear portion of either of the 2 residential lots and just how far that goes. And so we want to do this right, and we want to correctly identify the things that need to be protected if these are split into separate lots. And so we think with an additional 2 weeks we can work with the church and with the surveyors to correctly identify those things, but it's just not, we can't say that the easements as depicted on the plat today are accurate. And so we think we need 2 weeks to get that cleared up. The other thing, and it was just something that we found after the packet went out, was that the the original sewer was put in for a different project, and the sewer was put in for the war housing project that was intended to serve Army barracks that predated any of the houses built there or the church. And so the sewer is in an odd location in the block because it was installed to serve Army barracks that may or may not have been built, but it wasn't installed to serve the homes that are there today. And so that's added a different level of just a clarification to make sure we know what's public and what's private. So our recommendation is that you postpone this item till the March 4th meeting to allow staff to work with the applicant surveyor to confirm utility line locations and finalize easement locations before the commission acts on this request. It is a relatively simple replat, but this is our one and only chance to get the easements in the correct location, and we want to have that done before we have you act on it. I'd be open to any questions that you have. We do have Pat Mills here representing Church of the Cross, who's been working on this replat project and the sale to Kansas Wesleyan. But we think with 2 weeks we can get this ironed out and have the correct information in front of you.
Thank you, Dean. Commissioners, do you have any questions of staff?
Does that include some of the stuff with the driveway on the south house where they need to go into the parking lot of the church?
Yeah, it has to do with it's a little odd situation that instead of having its own curb cut on Rush Street, the house that's on Rush has its driveway connected to the parking lot, and there will be an access easement granted from essentially Kansas Wesleyan to the future owner or owners of that home to ensure continued access through that driveway, and we'll define that easement and its purpose a little more clearly when this comes back to you. But that's the purpose of having an access easement there, because if the ownership changes, you want to have an easement that guarantees continued access so they're not cut off.
All right, any other questions of staff? All right, does anyone online have any questions or comments? Okay. All right, commissioners, I open it up for discussion or a motion.
I just want to clarify that the applicant is okay with the 2-week time period. She's shaking her head yes, I think.
Yeah. Yes, we are.
Okay, very good. Thank you. In that case, Madam Chair, I would recommend that we postpone application P25-1-1A to the March 4th meeting.
Second.
It's been moved and second to postpone this item until our March 4th meeting. All those in favor say aye.
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 Motion carried. Thank you. All right, we'll move on to the next item on the agenda.
Again, this is a request to consider an amendment to the original conditions of approval of the final plat of the Markley Addition. And the Markley Addition was a plat that was done to create 2 lots, one for a future fire station number 4, and also created a separate lot for a stormwater detention area to the east. And when this came before the commission originally, the plan that was put forward and reviewed and we discussed with the Director of Utilities was that they were going to take a sewer line that ran under the location of the fire station, and they were going to relocate it. And they were going to remove the line from underneath the building area, and you can't remove the line till you have the alternate line in place and functioning. So that's what the assumption was, and the project has now been put out to bid. There is a contractor, and there's been a change in the plan where the project contractor is now proposing a different sequence of events, and so they are proposing to begin construction while the existing sewer line is in place and in service, and then constructing the rerouted sewer line while the fire station building is under construction. They would then not remove but cap the existing sewer, and the new line would be put into operation. So as a general rule, we try to avoid having buildings placed over active utility lines, but the Director of Utilities has reviewed this plan and determined that the sewer line is sufficiently deep that it won't be disrupted or damaged by the placement of footings or floor over it. And so, as you could imagine, a fire station with some fairly large, heavy vehicles needs a more substantial footing and foundation than some that wouldn't be carrying so much weight. And so by leaving the line and then filling it in place, that has the additional advantage of not having any disturbed soils underneath the building. And so essentially what has occurred is that they would like to get started on the fire station sooner rather than later, and the planning staff is holding up the permit because the condition said you move the line first and then you can have your permit. And so the change would be that work would need to be done before a final certificate of occupancy was issued for the fire station. So if this language is approved, it would expedite our ability to issue a building permit and allow construction to proceed without requiring the sewer line to be relocated first. And so that's the essence of it. And you acted on recommendation from the Director of Utilities, and based on the information we had at the time, the plan was to reroute and be in service before construction started, and we've got a different sequence of events, and so we would appreciate the Planning Commission considering changing that condition to move it from before a building permit to before occupancy of the fire station.
Okay, thank you, Dean. Are there any questions of staff?
So this is going to be completely capped off once the building has been constructed? Is that
Do we
correct?
have any of the graphics that are in the package, Dustin?
I was a little confused by the graphic. I didn't know if it was going to be a loop or if it was just capped.
If you could maybe blow that up a little bit, but the red line is the current sanitary sewer that runs through the property, and you can see the outline of the building. The sewer is going to be right underneath the fire station. So the original plan was the area outlined in green is the new rerouted sewer. And the original plan is we're going to reroute the sewer, hook up the sewer to the rerouted line, and then we'll tear out the sewer and construct the building. So what's going to happen instead is that the red line, which is the current sewer, that will remain in place and operational, and then when the new sewer is ready to be operational, instead of excavating and digging the sewer out, they'll just put flowable fill inside the pipe so there's no void there, and cap it off, and then it will just remain in place but not in active service. And that has the advantage of if you excavate and take the pipe out, then you're disturbing the soils, and so this avoids that and allows the project to get started sooner as opposed to waiting for the sewer to be relocated first.
So are they filling the entire line, or are they just putting the fill on each end cap.
As far
is
as
hollow
I
in the
understand, they're going to put flowable fill through the entire pipe. That's what the Director of Utilities expressed to me.
All right, any other questions of staff? All right, anyone online, Dustin?
I don't see anybody online, members of the public, to speak.
Okay. All right, commissioners, I open it up for discussion or a motion.
I think it seems like pretty much a no-brainer. I mean, it seems like a pretty simple issue, and I would make a motion that we approve that language change in that plat.
Okay, it has been moved to accept the language that is written on page 3 of the staff report for this application. Is there a second?
Second.
I second.
Okay, thank you. There's been moved and second to reword this certificate of completion. And on page 3 of 3, all those in favor say aye.
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 Okay, thank you. Motion carries.
So that will, we just did not feel comfortable. It was an action taken by the Planning Commission. We didn't feel like staff should just change it on our own, so we brought it to you so you could be informed of the issue and make an informed decision. As far as other matters, if you'll recall, you postponed consideration of the applications relating to the Magnolia Village PDD or the Salina Destination Project out at Magnolia Road in Virginia. And so we've had 2 or 3 meetings with them since that time, got a number of revised drawings, have received questions from commissioners and others that we will try to address, and that will come back before you on March 4th, and we're already working on that now. Our packet before was fairly thick. I think this will be a little bit thicker because we'll have some more illustrations and some things, some more blown up details. We'll have details about what the units look like, 3D views of the spacing between units, views of sidewalks, views of landscaping, views of the front entry gates from Magnolia, those types of things. The only thing I wanted to point out, I know there were some comments and questions about the Magnolia Road project. That was provided for informational purposes, but the Planning Commission will not necessarily be voting on the design for the Magnolia Road improvements, and so that's just to show how the perimeter streets improvements are being addressed. But I think if you looked at the minutes from the February 4th meeting, you'll see we've taken note of those minutes. We've seen what comments and questions commissioners have raised, and we'll try to address those in our March 4th reports.
Okay, is there any other unfinished business? Okay, is there anyone online, Dustin?
Do not have anybody requesting to speak from the public.
Okay. I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
I'll second that.
Been moved and second to adjourn. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion
Aye.
carried.
Aye.
Thank you.